Hello. I'm holding the steering wheel so I don't wave. Hi. It's been a minute. I was like, I'm gonna vlog every Wednesday. Honestly, so a year ago, I set a tiny experiment for myself. This is how you know you're overachiever. Anne Laura wrote a book called Tiny Experiments, and I listened to a podcast where she talked about it. She's wonderful. I profiled her for Kit many years ago, and I was so inspired. And one of her tiny experiments was YouTube. She actually learned she didn't like YouTube from trying it out. And I can't remember what her parameters were exactly for tiny experiments, but being an overachiever, in my mind, 20 YouTube videos sounded like a tiny experiment. That was, no, yeah, what? I made that back a year ago in the summer. I had just lost my dog Stanley to cancer. I was grieving. I couldn't write. And I was like, I feel like I need something to create in this time of loss, but most of the ways I create weren't accessible to me, weirdly. And so vlogging is something that I actually didn't watch a lot of vlogs or YouTube for most of my life. I didn't get into them until after 2020. And of course, they were such a comfort to me then. Vlogging became such a comfort to me in grief. Shout out Paige. I will link her channel below. She is a cruise vlogger, and she vlogged she works on cruises as a performer, a singer, and she vlogged her contracts where there was one contract where she went around the world, and she vlogged the whole thing, which now that I've actually vlogged, 17 times, or maybe it's 6, I don't know, I'm close to the end of this experiment. But I am just blown away by people who vlog consistently and have a full-time job. Wow. Seriously, wow. And then vlogging a trip around the world, because I learned in my experiment very quickly. So when I did my first videos, I was like, okay, let me film myself walking into the coffee shop. I love those B-roll moments with music and you're just vibing. I love watching those. I do not like editing them. I really hate editing them. I hate putting together the visuals. It just stresses me out. And I'm doing this for fun. If this was my job, if I had some sort of goal, I would just do it. It wouldn't be a big deal. But my goal for this is actually just it's supposed to be a stress relief, not cause stress. So I'm not doing any vlogging that causes stress, and that caused me stress. I realized very quickly in this experiment that that's not gonna work for me if I'm trying to keep this low stress and just fun. So I'm sorry, because I know it's not as interesting. I love the visual stuff, but I'm doing this as a way to just relieve stress, because it has been one of the hardest years of my life. And so my point is, I'm just blown away by people who do all of that editing, all of that work, and it's not their job. They're not getting paid to do it. They're doing it because they love it. It's their, creative outlet, just like I write books. It's not like I'm making a ton of money from my writing, but I do it because I love it. And I know there's people who vlog, and that's that for them. And I'm so appreciative, because so many of those vloggers who don't make money doing it have, wow, I feel emotional about this. I did not expect this. Just have brought me so much joy and so much comfort, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough, because obviously there's plenty of people who make a living doing it, which is also impressive. It's not easy. I've been in the creator world. I've been profiling people in the creator world for over 15 years, and it's so hard to make a full-time living doing this stuff. It's never been more accessible, but it is not easy, and there are people who do everything right and still can't make it happen for no fault of their own, but we talk about how much joy and comfort those people bring, which is rightly so, but I think there's probably not enough to be said for the people who bring us that joy and that comfort, and they're not getting paid for it. It's their second job, and it is a job. It is so much work, but I have been having fun. Because I've been making sure it stays fun. But I'll be honest with you, a couple weeks ago I was just like, oh my gosh, this tiny experiment I set for myself, I thought it was going to take a couple months. No. So, but because of who I'm I was just always having these fights with myself. I've been just really, still really just struggling with different things and feeling oh, this feels like it's hanging over my head. This 20, I was like, I could just stop. no one would care. No one would be like, you're a bad person. You said you were going to do 20 videos and you didn't. Like, no one would care. No one's counting but me, you know, but just, I couldn't do it. I'm like, no, I said 20. I need to go to 20. And then I was like, just set every Wednesday, just do it, and you'll be done by August, and you'll be done. You just have done this, you'll have done it, you'll have gotten a lot out of it, it helped you through a good season, but like, I don't know if it's something I want to keep doing, frankly, just because it's a lot of work. And I am in a season where work is a lot of work and it's really hard. I don't know if it's part of getting older, but like work just takes more out of me than it ever has. And it's like, work has just been so intense, you know. It's just, I don't know if it's just as you get more senior, you know, and it just, I love where I work. I love the people I work with. It just takes a lot out of me. And I have always done my art on the side. I've always done creative things on the side, and I'm just finding I have less and less capacity for that. Part of it might be still grieving and all this stuff, I don't know, but I am turning 40 next year, and like reevaluating all that stuff of like, what can I actually do outside of work that is fun? And okay, if this is my actual capacity, what do I want to do with it? And honestly, if I had more capacity, like vlogging has been probably my favorite social media adjacent thing I've ever done. Like, I like this, but I think I'm just in this era of like, I only have this much right now. Maybe that changes. Right now, I just only have this much out of work, and I got my writing back. So I'm writing books again, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. So I think I'm gonna prioritize that, but we'll see what vlogging becomes. I don't know. I might stop after 20 and you will never see me here again, but you can find me on Instagram and my newsletter, which links are below. But you know, we'll just see. I'm just gonna get to 20 and then I'll still have this camera. So if I ever I'm very curious actually, like if when 20 goes away, will there be any impulse? Will I want to do anything? If I do, I will, but I might not. That's okay too. But anyway, it's summer. It's not usually that hot in San Diego. I mean, but I'm getting hot. I gotta go into this coffee shop and get to work, but I also am gonna do a 10-minute writing session. I haven't written in a couple weeks. It is back, but it's just been, work's just been intense and life's been intense, but it's there and I'm love it. We had another Creator Friday where I work, where they give us the whole day to create, which is incredible. And so I went to an old favorite coffee shop near the ocean and I wrote the intro of my next book, and I love it, which is so great because I don't know if you're a writer, I don't know if you relate to this at all, but I really struggle with the intros of books. I usually write so many intros that I hate them, but like it's part of the fleshing out process. And then you just hit this moment sometimes where I finally got the intro that I was like, I love this. It'll still change, I'll still edit it, but like I can see this book now, I can feel this book now. So I'm working on that. And then I've also started the research process for my book after that. So the book I'm working on now is a collection of profiles that I've already written that I'm editing together. So more on that soon. And then I've already started the research process for my next book, which will be no surprise. I want to explore this grief that I have experienced through losing a dog, because I just didn't see it coming, and I got so much comfort from other people who had experienced something similar, and I want to explore that and create a book that hopefully will give other people that feeling in the future. So I have some people who filled out like an initial form, and I'm going to explore. I don't know what this book will be yet in terms of the format. I want to be careful not to like prescribe what it's going to be yet, because I do that sometimes and then I start to do interviews and then I'm like, no, wait, this is actually something else. That's what happened with my book called The Little Book of Big Dreams. And it took me 10 years to do it because I like interviewed with a very particular format in mind. And then once I did the interviews, I was like, no, that format, sorry, my hair's bothering me. I was like, no, that format doesn't work. That's not what this is. So I'm going to try to take a more exploratory approach, start interviews and start to see what this book becomes. But what I'm going to start with is interviewing other people who have lost a pet, and I don't know if it's just going to be dogs or if it's going to be dogs and cats. I'm going to just explore that because I've found a lot in common with both. But I want to explore that and then see what it becomes. But basically everyone I'm interviewing, it's people who, when they lost that pet, it was a profound loss for them, where it really kind of mess them up in some way. So I want to explore that. I knew some people for whom that was true, and that did help me during this process, because it made me at least not have to also deal with the fact, like, am I just, like, what's wrong with me? Like, dogs, they only live a certain amount of time. Like, it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I just know people who have been through such intense tragedies of loss, and the kind of loss that just, I don't know, it makes sense that it destroys you and completely changes you and messes up your life and just breaks you in some profound way. And I just didn't know that a dog could do that for some of us, or a cat, or like a pet. And from what I've explored so far, it seems, and from people who have been through this and have also lost people very close to them, that it seems to be like more about how close you were to that person or that creature, or and like how embedded they were in your life, in your brain, in the way you lived everyday life. And it's like, when you lose that, not only do you lose the thing, but then it's like there's so much that you were used to that's now gone, and it's just like very disorienting. It was so far beyond just like, yeah, I really miss my dog, I'm really sad, I really miss him, I really loved him. But it was like, and I still do love him, but it was more also just about like, oh, why do I feel so different, beyond just like the actual sadness of losing him. So anyway, I don't have any answers. My experience is just my experience, and I'm not going to write a book of answers. I just want to write a book exploring the questions that I still have about why did this wreck me so much, and why do we have pets? What do they give us? Why do some of us like really fall apart when we lose them? Maybe a lot of people fall apart when they lose them. I just don't know everyone who's ever lost a pet and how it makes them feel. But I'm just connecting right now with people for whom they are saying like, yeah, this was like, oof, it was rough, And so, yeah, I'm just gonna explore those questions and see what happens. That's what I love about writing. So, okay. I'm getting hot. Can you believe I lived in Florida? I'm such a wuss with heat. It's one of the things that I struggled with in Florida a lot. I still miss Florida a ton, because I just love the people there. I just love my friends in Florida so much. So I'm hoping to visit later this year and just visit more, because I'm like, I miss them so much. I really do. But the heat was what was, if Florida wasn't hot, I would never have left. At the end of the day, like, I really struggle in heat and humidity, like really bad. Like, I don't feel like myself. The weather here has been really good for my mental health, but if you sit in a hot car too long, it's like reminds me of Florida. I'm like, I can't believe I lived this all the time I did, but it was worth it, because I've had so many good times in Florida, and I loved that season, even though it just felt like I needed to come back to California. When I was in Florida, I miss California. When I'm in California, I still miss Florida. We have like in one of our rooms, we have a picture of like this like designy art picture of like Florida, California, and they're both next to each other. And I really love both places so much, and there's probably things about each place I don't like, and it's, my heart feels torn sometimes in two different places, and of course there are the places, I mean, obviously you could be farther if it was somewhere else across the world, but like in terms of America, I guess, unless it was Hawaii, but it's like, they're so far. I wish I loved two places that were closer, but we have planes, so I've been realizing lately I need to get on those more, because I'm really happy to be in California, but I also really do miss a lot about Florida too. And just holding both of those. I just got back on Marco Polo, which is how I kept in touch with a lot of good friends in Florida when I moved to California last time. And I hadn't been on that because I'd just been in a weird season of life where my capacity just disappeared, and so I haven't been keeping in touch as much as I want to. Like, it's not like I see all these messages and things, I'm like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. It's like, all I want to do is talk to these friends. But like, my brain isn't working. Like, I can't take in any other information right now. But I feel like I'm slowly crawling out of some kind of hole. And yeah, I did Marco Polo today. So that was something, and I wanted to vlog. So I couldn't keep up. I couldn't do the weekly Wednesday thing. There were too many Wednesdays where I was sick and work. It was just, too much. And I was like, okay, I can't do a weekly vlog. I just can't do it. So we're just going to vlog when I feel like it. Still doing the we thing. I love this tattoo. Anyway, so yeah, let's go write. bye.